Admiral Jake Morrison stared out the window of the command station. His hands pressed against the cold metal rail as he watched the enemy fleet approach. The alien ships covered the sky like a dark cloud. There were thousands of them, maybe tens of thousands. He had stopped counting after the first hour. "Sir, we have the final numbers," Captain Lisa Hayes said behind him. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the fear underneath. 8,412 enemy vessels. Confirmed. Our defense fleet has been reduced to 347 ships. Jake closed his eyes. 300 ships against over 8,000. The math was simple and brutal. Humanity was about to die. The war had started 3 years ago when the Zephyrian Collective first attacked human colonies. They came without warning, without demands, without mercy. World after world fell to their advanced weapons and endless numbers. The aliens seemed to view humans as nothing more than pests to be removed. At first, the Terran Federation had hope. Human ships were fast and their crews were brave. They won a few small battles and held some systems. But the aliens learned quickly. They adapted their tactics and brought more ships, always more ships. The big defeats came one after another. Proxima fell first, taking with it the entire Third Fleet. Then Kepler 442, where Admiral Chen made his last stand with 4,000 ships. They destroyed maybe 600 aliens before being wiped out completely. Wolf 359 was the worst. The aliens used some new weapon that turned human ships into dust in seconds. Now Earth itself was under attack. The home world, the birthplace of humanity. "How long until they reach the inner system?" Jake asked. 18 hours at current speed, Lisa replied. "But sir, our long-range sensors are picking up something else. The aliens are deploying some kind of massive weapon platform. It's the size of a small moon." Jake turned around to face his staff. The command center was busy with officers running back and forth trying to coordinate the defense. Everyone looked tired. They had been preparing for this moment for months, knowing it would probably come. "Get me a direct line to Dr. Alex Carter at Luna Base," Jake ordered. Dr. Carter appeared on the main screen a few minutes later. The scientist looked older than his 40 years, with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. He had been working on secret projects for the military, things so classified that even Jake didn't know all the details. "Admiral Morrison," Alex said, "I suppose you're calling about the alien fleet." "I'm calling because we need a miracle," Jake replied. "Do you have anything at all, that might help us?" Alex was quiet for a long moment. He looked around his lab as if checking to see if anyone else was listening. "There might be something," he said slowly. "I received a message an hour ago. Coded transmission from someone who's supposed to be dead." "What kind of message?" "Coordinates. And a name I haven't heard in 2 years. Project Hellfire." Jake felt a small spark of hope, the first he had felt in months. "Who sent it?" "Commander Ben Torres." The command center went quiet. Everyone knew that name. Ben Torres had been Jake's best friend and one of the Federation's finest officers. He had died 2 years ago during a classified mission in the asteroid belt. At least, that's what everyone believed. "That's impossible," Lisa said. "We have his death certificate. His ship was destroyed." Alex shook his head. The message included codes that only Ben would know. Personal things about his family, about missions we went on together. Either he's alive, or someone has access to information that should be impossible to get. Jake made a decision. It was probably crazy, but with the alien fleet closing in, crazy might be humanity's only chance. "Doctor, I'm ordering you to follow those coordinates. Take a fast ship and see what's out there. If Ben is alive, if there really is something called Project Hellfire, we need to know about it now." "Sir," Lisa interrupted, "we need every ship for the defense." "One ship won't make a difference against 8,000, Jake said. "But if there's even a small chance that Ben found something, anything that could help us, we have to try." On the alien flagship, War Commander Zixithara studied the human defenses. The reptilian leader's scales shifted color with his mood, currently showing the deep red of anticipation. He had spent months planning this attack. The humans would finally be removed from the galaxy. "Status report," he ordered. "All battle groups, Are in position, Commander, his aide replied. The humans have gathered their remaining ships near their fourth planet. They appear to be preparing for a final battle. Zixthara's scales shifted to a pleased yellow. As expected, these creatures are predictable. They will fight to the end, even when defeat is certain. It is almost admirable. The war commander had studied human tactics for years. They were brave but foolish, always choosing to fight even when retreat would be wiser. Their ships were fast but weak, their weapons crude but effective at close range. Most importantly, they had no concept of the greater universe around them. What is the status of the World Breaker? He asked. The weapon platform is charging, sir. It will be ready to fire in 16 hours. One shot will crack their planet's crust. The second will destroy it completely. Zixthara nodded. The World Breaker was the collective's ultimate weapon, used only when they wanted to make an example of a species. The humans had proven more troublesome than expected, so their homeworld would become a lesson for other young races who might think of resisting. Begin the attack in 12 hours, he ordered. I want their fleet destroyed before we use the World Breaker. Let them see their defeat coming slowly. Back on the command station, Jake watched Dr. Carter's ship disappear into space. The small, research vessel looked tiny against the starfield, heading toward coordinates in the asteroid belt that might lead to nothing. All ships report ready, Admiral, Lisa said. We have 3 battle groups positioned around Mars, 2 more guarding the jump points near Jupiter. If the aliens want Earth, they'll have to go through us first. Jake nodded, but his mind was on Ben Torres. His old friend had always been good at finding solutions to impossible problems. If anyone could have discovered something that might help humanity, it would be Ben. The alien fleet continued its approach, growing larger on the sensors with each passing hour. Soon, the final battle would begin. Jake just hoped that whatever Dr. Carter found in the asteroid belt would arrive in time to matter. Humanity's last stand was about to begin. Dr. Alex Carter's ship moved through the asteroid belt like a tiny insect among floating mountains of rock. The coordinates from Ben Torres led him deep into a region that most pilots avoided. Too many asteroids, too much interference with navigation systems. Alex checked his instruments again. The coordinates were precise, leading to a specific asteroid that looked no different from thousands of others. But as he got closer, his sensors began picking up something strange. Energy readings that shouldn't exist. Metal structures where there should only be rock. This is impossible, he whispered to himself. The asteroid's surface looked normal from a distance, but Alex's military-grade scanners revealed the truth. The entire interior had been hollowed out and filled with machinery. Someone had built a massive facility inside this floating rock, hidden from any casual observer. A communication signal reached his ship. Research Vessel Delta 7, this is Asteroid Base Prometheus. You are cleared for Docking Bay 2. Welcome home, Alex. The voice belonged to Ben Torres. Alex felt his heart racing as his ship was guided into a hidden docking bay. The entrance was concealed so well that it looked like just another crater until the moment it opened. Inside, the facility was huge. Alex could see construction equipment, power generators, and something else. Something that made him forget how to breathe. A ship unlike anything he had ever seen rested in the center of the facility. It was enormous, easily the size of a heavy cruiser, but its design was completely alien. The hull was smooth and dark, seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. There were no visible weapons, no obvious engines, no markings of any kind. It looked almost alive. Impressive, isn't it? Ben Torres stepped out of the shadows as Alex climbed out of his ship. Ben looked older, with new scars on his face, and gray in his hair that hadn't been there 2 years ago. But he was definitely alive. Ben, what is this place? What is that thing? Alex asked, pointing at the strange ship. This is Project Hellfire, Ben replied. And that is humanity's secret weapon, the HSS Reaper. Ben led Alex through corridors carved from solid rock. The facility was bigger than it had appeared from the docking bay, with laboratories, living quarters, and manufacturing areas stretching deep into the asteroid. 2 years ago, my team was investigating strange readings in the Vega system, Ben explained as they walked. We found wreckage from a battle that happened millions of years ago. Ships and technology from a civilization that was so advanced they might as well have been gods. They entered a laboratory where several scientists were working on pieces of alien technology. The devices were beautiful and terrifying at the same time, made from materials that seemed to shift and change as Alex watched them. Most of the wreckage was damaged beyond repair, Ben continued. But we found one intact data core. When we finally managed to access it, we learned about a war that nearly destroyed the galaxy millions of years ago. An ancient species called the Builders fought against something from outside normal space and time. They lost, but not before creating weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics. Alex stared at a piece of alien metal that seemed to bend light around itself. This technology is millions of years old? Older. The Builders were gone before the first fish crawled out of Earth's oceans. But their technology is still functional, more than functional. It's beyond anything the current galactic powers have ever imagined. They reached the ship's docking area. Up close, the Reaper was even more impressive. Alex could see that the hull wasn't just smooth, it was actually moving. The surface rippled and flowed like liquid metal, constantly reshaping itself. The ship is partially alive, Ben explained. The hull is made of programmable matter that can adapt to any situation. It can reshape itself to be more aerodynamic, grow additional armor, or even repair damage automatically. Captain Nicole Reed approached them. She was a tall woman with short blonde hair and the kind of steady eyes that came from years of military service. Dr. Carter, I presume? Commander Torres has told us about your work with quantum physics. Captain Reed has been helping us understand the ship's weapon systems, Ben said. Nicole, show him the primary weapon. They climbed aboard the Reaper through an opening that formed in the hull as they approached. Inside, the ship was just as strange as the outside. The corridors seemed to grow around them as they walked, and the walls had a soft, organic curve that felt more like being inside a living creature than a machine. The bridge was a circular room with 12 stations arranged around a central core. The core pulsed with soft blue light, and Alex could hear something that sounded almost like a heartbeat. That's Echo, Nicole said, noticing where Alex was looking. The ship's artificial intelligence. It's based on human brain patterns, but enhanced with builder technology. Echo, say hello to Dr. Carter. A voice spoke, seeming to come from everywhere at once. It sounded human, but with an odd harmonic quality that made Alex's skin crawl. Greetings, Dr. Carter. I have analyzed your psychological profile and believe you will find the quantum decimator fascinating. The what? Alex asked. Nicole touched. A panel and part of the bridge wall became transparent. Alex found himself looking at the ship's primary weapon. It was a complex array of crystals and metal tubes that seemed to twist through dimensions he couldn't quite see. The quantum decimator can unravel the molecular bonds of any target within a light-second radius, Nicole explained. It doesn't destroy things in the traditional sense. It unmakes them, breaking them down to their component atoms and scattering them across space. Alex felt sick. How many people would a weapon like that kill? That depends on how we use it, Ben said, quietly. The weapon can be adjusted. It can disable ships without killing crews, or it can erase entire fleets from existence. The choice is ours. But there's a cost, Nicole added. The ship requires a crew of exactly 12, all linked through a neural interface. The connection is dangerous. We might not survive it, and even if we do, we'll never be completely human again. They showed Alex the neural interface system. It looked like a nightmare of cables and electrodes connected to chairs that resembled operating tables more than pilot seats. The human brain isn't designed to interface with builder technology, Ben explained. The process will change us on a fundamental level. We'll be able to think faster, see further, predict enemy movements before they happen. But we'll also share thoughts and memories in ways that no human has ever experienced. Alex studied the readouts on the neural interface. The technology was incredible, but the risks were enormous. How do you know it will work? We don't, Nicole admitted. All we have are simulations and theoretical models. This will be the first real test. Echo's voice filled the bridge again. Dr. Carter, I should inform you that the Zephyrian fleet has accelerated their approach. They will reach Earth's inner system in 14 hours. Alex felt the weight of humanity's survival settling on his shoulders. How long until the ship is ready? We're ready now, Ben said. We just need the crew. I've selected 11 volunteers from various military branches. Each one understands the risks and has volunteered anyway. They walked to another section of the ship where the volunteers were preparing. Alex recognized some of them from their military records. Lieutenant Danny Clark, a fighter pilot known for his incredible reflexes. Chief Engineer Maria Santos, who had worked on experimental ship designs. Communications Officer Kevin Wright, who could process data streams faster than most computers. All of them looked nervous, but determined. They knew they might die, but they also knew they were humanity's only hope. The neural linking process takes 6 hours, Ben explained. Once it begins, there's no turning back. We'll either emerge as something new, or we won't emerge at all. Alex looked around at the volunteers, then back at the alien ship that humanity's survival depended on. In a few hours, 12 people would risk everything to become something beyond human. They would take control of a weapon that could reshape reality itself. When do we start? Alex asked. Ben smiled for the first time since Alex had arrived. As soon as you're ready to stop being human and start being something more. Outside the asteroid, the Zephyrian fleet continued its approach toward Earth. They had no idea that their overwhelming advantage was about to face something that had been waiting millions of years for this moment. The ancient war was about to begin again. The battle for Mars orbit began at dawn, Earth time. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the heavy cruiser UES Defiance, watching his ships take position around the red planet. 300 human vessels faced an enemy fleet 25 times their size. All ships report ready, Admiral, Captain Lisa Hayes announced. Her voice was steady, but Jake could see the tension in her shoulders. Everyone knew this was a desperate delaying action. They weren't trying to win, they were trying to buy time. Signal the fleet, Jake ordered. Today we make our stand. Every minute we hold them is another minute for our people on Earth. Make every shot count. The Zephyrian vanguard appeared first, 1,000 ships moving in perfect formation. Their vessels were sleek and deadly, covered in weapons that could punch through the heaviest human armor. Behind them came the main fleet, stretching across space like a metal storm. War Commander Zixithera studied the human formation from his flagship. The reptilian commander's scales had shifted to a pleased yellow color. The humans were positioning themselves exactly as his tactical computers had predicted. They are brave but foolish, he told his aide. They choose to fight when they should flee. This will make their destruction more satisfying. Shall we deploy the World Breaker, Commander? The aide asked. Not yet. First, we will destroy their fleet ship by ship. I want them to see the hopelessness of their situation. Then we will use the World Breaker to crack their planet like an egg. The first shots came from the human side. Admiral Morrison had learned from previous battles that the only way to hurt the aliens was to strike first and strike hard. 1,000 missiles launched from the human fleet, racing across space toward the enemy vanguard. The Zephyrian ships responded with point defense systems that filled space with energy beams. Most of the human missiles were destroyed before reaching their targets, but some got through. Explosions bloomed against alien hulls and several enemy ships began to drift. Good shooting, Jake muttered. Then the aliens returned fire. The Zephyrian plasma cannons were designed to melt through ship armor like butter. The first volley destroyed 12 human ships instantly, turning them into expanding clouds of superheated metal. The second volley took out 15 more. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Jake ordered. Don't let them target you easily. The human fleet scattered, using their superior speed to stay ahead of the alien weapons. It was a desperate dance, darting in to fire missiles and then fleeing before the return fire could destroy them. Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid belt, the neural linking process was beginning aboard the HSS Reaper. Dr. Alex Carter lay in one of the interface chair's electrodes attached to his head and cables snaking into his arms. The other 11 volunteers were arranged in a circle around the ship's central core. Beginning neural integration, Commander Ben Torres announced from the central chair. As the mission commander, he would bear the greatest risk. The alien technology would try to merge with his consciousness first, using him as a template for the others. The first sensation was like ice water being injected directly into Alex's brain. He gasped and tried to pull away, but the restraints held him in place. Around the circle, the other volunteers were having similar reactions. Maria Santos screamed. Kevin Wright convulsed so violently that his chair shook. "Hold on," Ben said, through gritted teeth. "The pain means it's working." Echo's voice filled the chamber, but now Alex could hear it inside his head as well as through his ears. Neural patterns detected. Beginning integration with builder technology. Warning: this process will fundamentally alter your consciousness. Alex felt his mind expanding in ways he couldn't understand. Suddenly he could sense the thoughts of the other volunteers. Maria's terror mixed with her determination. Kevin's pain blended with his curiosity about the alien systems. Lieutenant Danny Clark's fighter pilot instincts were already adapting to the ship's weapon controls, but something was going wrong. Two of the volunteers, Sergeants Miller and Davis, weren't adapting properly. Their brain patterns were too different, their minds too rigid to accept the alien enhancements. Alex watched in horror as their life signs began to fail. "We're losing them," Captain Nicole Reed shouted from the medical station. "Their neural patterns are collapsing." "Can we save them?" Ben asked. "Not without killing the rest of us," Nicole replied. "The system is already integrated. If we try to disconnect them now, the feedback will destroy everyone's mind." Alex felt the two men die, their consciousness fading from the neural network like lights going out. It was horrible, but there was no time to grieve. The linking process continued, and two replacement volunteers took the empty chairs. Slowly, painfully, the remaining 12 crew members began to merge with the alien technology. Alex found that he could see through the ship's sensors as if they were his own eyes. He could feel the Reaper's hull like it was his skin, sense the quantum decimator charging like his own heartbeat. "Integration complete," Echo announced. "Crew consciousness successfully merged with ship systems. Warning, you are no longer entirely human." The observation was true. Alex could feel the difference immediately. His thoughts moved faster, processing information at incredible speed. He could see patterns in space and time that had been invisible before. Most disturbing of all, he could feel the other crew members' minds connected to his own. "Neural link established," Ben said, but his voice now seemed to come from inside everyone's head. "All stations report." The responses came not as voices, but as shared thoughts. Danny Clark at weapons, ready. Maria Santos at engineering. All. Systems optimal. Kevin Wright at communications, detecting massive battle in Mars orbit. "Show me," Ben commanded. The ship's sensors focused on Mars, and suddenly the entire crew could see the battle raging in orbit. Admiral Morrison's fleet was fighting desperately, but they were being systematically destroyed. Human ships exploded, one after another under the alien bombardment. "How long until we can intervene?" Alex asked. "The ship needs 30 minutes to complete system integration," Nicole replied. "But the human fleet won't last 10 minutes at this rate." They watched helplessly as the battle turned into a massacre. The Zephyrian ships moved in perfect coordination, surrounding and destroying human vessels with mechanical precision. Admiral Morrison's flagship was taking heavy damage, its hull cracked and bleeding atmosphere. "We have to do something," Danny Clark said through the neural link. "We're not ready," Ben replied. "If we launch now, we might not survive the first engagement." The crew watched as another group of human ships was wiped out. The aliens were methodical, taking their time to destroy each vessel completely before moving to the next target. They seemed to be enjoying the slaughter. "Warning," Echo announced, detecting massive energy buildup from Zephyrian weapon platform. "Analysis suggests planet killer weapon charging." The Worldbreaker appeared on their sensors, a massive structure the size of a small moon. Energy readings spiked as the weapon prepared to fire at Earth. "How long until it's ready to fire?" Ben asked. 14 minutes, Echo replied. Ben made the decision that would change everything. "All crew prepare for emergency launch. We're going in now." Sir, we haven't completed integration, Maria Santos protested. The weapon systems might not respond properly. Then we'll have to make them respond, Ben replied. We can't let them destroy Earth while we're still getting ready. The HSS Reaper began to move. The sensation was unlike anything the crew had ever experienced. The ship didn't accelerate through space so much as translate itself from one location to another. Reality seemed to bend around them as the vessel's temporal displacement systems activated. Alex could see multiple versions of the future simultaneously. In some timelines, they arrived too late and Earth died. In others, the Reaper's systems failed and they were destroyed instantly. But in a few precious possibilities, they succeeded. Approaching Mars orbit, Kevin Wright announced. Zephyrian fleet detected. 8,400 ships confirmed. The alien fleet was massive, covering space like a metal cloud. Their ships moved in perfect formation, maintaining the systematic destruction of the human fleet. They had no idea that something impossible was about to join the battle. All stations prepare for combat, Ben ordered. This is what we trained for. This is why we volunteered. The crew shared a moment of perfect unity through the neural link. They were no longer 12 individuals but a single consciousness distributed across 12 bodies. They were human, but also something more. Something that the ancient builders had designed to fight wars across dimensions. Dropping stealth in 3, 2, 1. The HSS Reaper appeared in the center of the Zephyrian formation like a nightmare, made real. 8,000 alien ships suddenly found an impossible enemy in their midst. The war for humanity's survival had entered its final phase. War Commander Zixthara was studying battle reports when his aide rushed onto the bridge with panic in his large eyes. The reptilian officer's scales were flashing the rapid orange of extreme alarm. Commander, we have a problem, the aide announced. Scout Patrol 7 has gone silent. Zixthara's own scales shifted to a cautious yellow. Define silent, Lieutenant. They were investigating sensor anomalies in the asteroid belt, sir. 3 cruisers and 12 fighters. They stopped responding. To communications exactly 14 minutes ago. No distress signals, no debris, no trace of their existence. The war commander stood slowly from his command chair. In 40 years of military service, he had never heard of an entire patrol simply vanishing. Ships could be destroyed, but there were always signs. Wreckage, energy signatures, emergency beacons. Something. Send investigation fleet beta to their last known coordinates, he ordered. I want to know what happened to my ships. Already dispatched, sir. They should arrive within the hour. Zixthara studied the tactical display showing his fleet's positions around Mars. The human resistance was crumbling exactly as predicted. Their primitive ships were no match for collective technology. By his calculations, the human fleet would be completely destroyed within 2 hours. But something had made an entire patrol disappear. Something the humans had never demonstrated before. Status of the Worldbreaker? He asked. Charging sequence at 60%, Commander. The weapon will be ready to fire at the human homeworld in 11 minutes. That was good news. Whatever had destroyed Patrol 7, it would be irrelevant once Earth was cracked open like a broken egg. The humans could have all the secret weapons they wanted. Dead planets told no tales. In the center of the Zephyrian fleet, the HSS Reaper held position like a ghost ship from another dimension. The alien vessels moved around it in their perfect formations, completely unaware of its presence. The Reaper's stealth systems bent light and gravity around the hull, making it invisible to every sensor the Zephyrians possessed. Dr. Alex Carter felt the ship's consciousness merge with his own as he monitored the enemy fleet. Through the neural link, he shared his observations with the other crew members instantly. The aliens were methodical but overconfident. They had never faced an enemy they couldn't detect. Target analysis complete, Lieutenant Danny Clark reported through the shared mental connection. I can see their weak points. The big ships have power distribution nodes that look vulnerable. Hold fire, Commander Ben Torres ordered. We need to wait for the right moment. Chief Engineer Maria Santos was integrated with the ship's weapon systems, feeling the quantum decimator's power building in her consciousness like a second heartbeat. The weapon is ready, but I'm reading some unusual feedback from the targeting system. What kind of feedback? Ben asked. Echo is showing me multiple timeline projections, Maria replied. The AI can see several different outcomes for each possible target. It's like the ship knows what will happen before we fire. Communication Officer Kevin Wright was monitoring Zephyrian transmissions, their voices flowing through his enhanced consciousness like a river of alien thoughts. They're talking about missing patrol ships, something about an investigation fleet. They've noticed their patrol is gone, Ben realized. How long until they find the debris? There is no debris, Danny said quietly through the neural link. The quantum decimator doesn't leave wreckage. Those ships were unmade at the molecular level. There's nothing left to find. The crew shared a moment of disturbed silence through their mental connection. The weapon they controlled was beyond destructive. It was the power to erase things from existence entirely. Captain Nicole Reed was monitoring the battle around Mars through the ship's sensors. Admiral Morrison's fleet is taking heavy casualties. They have maybe 20 minutes left before complete destruction. Status on the planet killer weapon? Ben asked. The Worldbreaker will be ready to fire in 8 minutes, Kevin replied. Once it charges, they can destroy Earth with a single shot. Ben made the decision. All crew prepare for combat engagement. Danny, target their investigation fleet first. We don't want them reporting back about what they find. The HSS Reaper moved through space like a predator stalking prey. The ship's temporal displacement systems allowed it to appear anywhere within the enemy formation instantly. One moment it was invisible near the fleet's center. The next it materialized behind the investigation ships heading toward the asteroid belt. Investigation Fleet Beta consisted of 6 heavy cruisers and 24 fighters. They were moving in a standard search pattern, scanning for any trace of the missing patrol. Their sensors detected nothing unusual until the exact moment they ceased to exist. The quantum decimator fired for the second time in millions of years. The beam was invisible to normal sensors, a pulse of pure entropy that reached out across space at the speed of thought. Where it touched the Zephyrian ships, molecular bonds simply stopped functioning. The vessels didn't explode or burn. They came apart at the atomic level and drifted away as clouds of component particles. Investigation fleet eliminated, Danny reported. His voice carried a strange mixture of satisfaction and horror. The weapon was incredibly effective, but using it felt like wielding the power of a god. No debris detected, Maria added. Complete molecular dissolution confirmed. The Reaper vanished back into stealth mode before any other Zephyrian ships could detect its position. To the alien fleet, another 30 ships had simply vanished without explanation. War Commander Zix Thera received the report with growing unease. His aide's scales were now flashing the rapid red of fear. Investigation Fleet Beta has also gone silent, Commander. Same pattern as the patrol. No communications, no debris, no energy signatures. Zix Thera felt a chill run through his reptilian body. 2 separate groups of ships, 43 vessels total, had simply disappeared. The humans had never demonstrated this capability before. Either they had developed something new, or they had help from someone else. Status of the Worldbreaker? He demanded. 3 minutes to full charge, sir. Accelerate the charging sequence. I want that planet destroyed immediately. Sir, accelerated charging is dangerous. If something goes wrong, do it! Zix Thera roared, his scales flashing angry red. I want the human homeworld cracked open before whatever is destroying my ships decides to target the fleet. Aboard the Reaper, the crew felt the planet-killer weapon's energy output spike through their enhanced senses. Echo's voice resonated through their shared consciousness with urgent warning. Worldbreaker charging sequence accelerated. Estimated time to firing, 90 seconds. That's not enough time to reach it, Ben said. The weapon platform is too far away. Maybe not, Alex interrupted. Through the neural link, he shared a new understanding of the ship's capabilities. Echo is showing me something. The temporal displacement system doesn't just move us through space, it can move us through time. Time travel? Nicole asked. Not exactly, Alex replied. More like time compression. We can experience the next few minutes in accelerated time, giving us more opportunities to act. Do it, Ben ordered. All crew prepare for temporal acceleration. The sensation was indescribable, The crew felt time itself bend around them as the Reaper entered accelerated temporal state. The battle around Mars slowed to a crawl. Energy beams moved like slugs through space. The Zephyrian fleet hung motionless in the vacuum. But the Reaper could still move at normal speed within the compressed time frame. The ship raced toward the Worldbreaker, crossing the distance in seconds that felt like hours to the accelerated crew. "Target locked," Danny announced. "But Commander, that weapon platform is huge. If I destroy it completely, the explosion might damage our own fleet." "Can you disable it instead of destroying it?" Ben asked. "Maybe. Echo is showing me a weak point in the power distribution system. If I hit it just right, I can cause a cascade failure that will shut down the weapon without exploding the entire platform. Do it." The quantum decimator fired again, this time at minimum power and precisely targeted. The beam struck a single critical component deep inside the Worldbreaker, causing exactly the chain reaction Danny had predicted. The massive weapon platform went dark as its power systems failed completely. "Worldbreaker disabled," Maria reported. "No longer a threat to Earth." The crew felt a moment of triumph through their shared consciousness. They had saved humanity's homeworld. But the victory was incomplete. The Zephyrian fleet was still intact, still destroying what remained of Admiral Morrison's forces. "Temporal acceleration ending," Alex announced. "We're returning to normal time frame." Time resumed its normal flow around them. The battle at Mars continued, with human ships dying under alien fire. The Zephyrian fleet maintained their methodical destruction, unaware that their ultimate weapon had been neutralized. War Commander Zixthara stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The Worldbreaker had simply stopped working. No explosion, no damage visible to his sensors. The most powerful weapon in the collective's arsenal had been disabled by an invisible enemy. "How many ships have we lost to these disappearances?" he asked his aide. 43 confirmed missing, sir. No trace of any of them." Admiral Jake Morrison watched his fleet die around him. The UES Defiance shook under another direct hit from Zephyrian plasma cannons. Half his ships were gone, floating debris in the void around Mars. The rest were fighting with the desperate courage of the doomed. "Sir, we have less than 50 ships left," Captain Lisa Hayes reported. Her voice was steady, but blood ran down her face from a head wound. "The aliens are moving in for the final attack." Through the bridge windows, Jake could see the entire Zephyrian Armada approaching. 8,000 ships in perfect formation, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison," he broadcast on the fleet frequency. "It has been an honor serving with you. Make them remember that humans don't surrender." The reply came from dozens of ship captains, their voices mixing together in a final salute. They were about to die, but they would die fighting. Then something impossible appeared in the center of the alien fleet. The HSS Reaper dropped its stealth systems and materialized like a nightmare given form. Its dark hull absorbed light, making it look like a ship-shaped hole in space itself. The alien fleet suddenly found an enemy vessel in their midst, surrounded by 8,000 hostile ships. War Commander Zixthara stared at his tactical display in shock. A single human vessel had somehow appeared inside his formation. His sensors couldn't get a clear reading on it. The ship seemed to bend space around itself, creating strange distortions in the fabric of reality. "Unknown vessel, you are surrounded, and outgunned 8,000 to 1, he broadcast. "Surrender immediately and your crew will be granted quick deaths." The response came on all frequencies simultaneously, broadcast with power that shouldn't have been possible from a single ship. "This is Commander Ben Torres of the Terran Federation Ship Reaper. You have exactly 10 seconds to surrender your fleet and withdraw from human space. This is your only warning." Zixthara's scales flashed bright red with rage and amusement. "One ship against 8,000? Your species is even more insane than I thought. All ships, destroy that vessel immediately." What followed challenged every assumption about space warfare that had existed for centuries. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with everything they had. Thousands of energy beams, missiles, and kinetic projectiles converged on the Reaper's position. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. But the weapons passed through empty space. The Reaper wasn't where it appeared to be. The ship's temporal displacement systems made it exist slightly outside normal time, creating the illusion of being present while actually being somewhere else entirely. Time displacement active, Dr. Alex Carter announced through the neural link. We're experiencing time at a different rate than the rest of the universe. Their weapons can't hit us. Commander Ben Torres felt the ship's consciousness merge completely with his own. Through the neural interface, he was the Reaper. Its sensors were his eyes, its weapons were his hands, its hull was his skin. The other 11 crew members shared the same connection, creating a single mind distributed across 12 bodies. Danny, target their command ships, Ben ordered through the mental link. Disable their communications first. Lieutenant Danny Clark's consciousness merged with the quantum decimator's targeting system. He could see the alien fleet not as it was, but as it would be in the next few seconds. The weapon could fire at where targets would be, rather than where they were now. Targets locked, Danny announced. Firing. The quantum decimator unleashed, its power for the third time. The beam was invisible to normal sensors, but devastating in its effect. It swept through the Zephyrian formation like a scythe, touching 12 command vessels simultaneously. The targeted ships didn't explode. They simply ceased to exist, their molecular bonds dissolved by weaponized entropy. Where heavy cruisers had been moments before, only empty space remained. Command ships eliminated, Danny reported. Enemy fleet coordination disrupted. The Zephyrian formation began to fall apart as lower-level commanders tried to take control. Without their command vessels, the perfect coordination that made their fleet so effective started to break down. But War Commander Zixathera was still alive, still commanding from his flagship. His scales had gone completely white with terror, but his military training kept him functional. All ships, random dispersal pattern, he ordered. Don't give them concentrated targets. Spread out and keep firing. The alien fleet scattered, trying to surround the Reaper from all directions. It was a sound tactical decision that might have worked against any normal enemy, but the Reaper was not normal. They're adapting, Captain Nicole Reed observed through the neural link, spreading their formation to minimize damage. Then we adapt too, Ben replied. Maria, can you modify the weapon's firing pattern? Chief. Engineer Maria Santos was integrated with the ship's weapon system so completely that she could feel every component as part of her own body. The quantum decimator can fire in a continuous beam mode. I can sweep it across their entire formation. Do it, but set it to disable instead of destroy, Ben ordered. We're not here to commit genocide. The next phase of the battle lasted exactly 17 seconds. Those 17 seconds changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The quantum decimator fired in continuous mode, its beams sweeping across the Zephyrian fleet like invisible fire. But instead of destroying the ships, it was calibrated to disable them. Engine systems failed. Weapons went offline. Life support dropped to emergency levels. One by one, 8,000 alien warships found themselves powerless and drifting. War Commander Zixathera watched his entire fleet rendered helpless in less than half a minute. His own flagship was now running on backup power, its weapons dead, its engines cold. For the first time in his military career, he felt true fear. The human ship hadn't destroyed his fleet. It could have, but it chose mercy instead. That realization was almost worse than destruction would have been. This is impossible, he whispered to his aide. No single ship has this much power. The aide's scales were flashing random colors in complete panic. Sir, what are your orders? Zixathera looked at his tactical display one more time. 8,000 ships disabled by a single enemy vessel in 17 seconds. His species prided itself on tactical superiority, but they had never faced anything like this. Signal unconditional surrender, he said quietly. The war is over. The broadcast went out on all frequencies, reaching every ship in both fleets. Admiral Morrison heard it aboard his damaged flagship and couldn't believe his ears. The Zephyrian Collective, which had conquered dozens of star systems, was surrendering to humanity. But the most important listener was Dr. Alex Carter aboard the Reaper. Through the neural link, he felt the weight of what they had accomplished. A single ship with 12 enhanced crew members had ended a war that threatened to destroy humanity. Surrender accepted. Ben Torres broadcast to both fleets. All Zephyrian vessels will shut down their remaining weapons and maintain current positions. Any ship that attempts to restart hostile systems will be permanently disabled. The Reaper moved through the field of drifting alien ships like a shark among minnows. Its dark hull reflected no light, making it look like a piece of the void itself. The crew could feel the fear radiating from the disabled enemy vessels. Admiral Morrison, this is Commander Torres, Ben broadcast to the human fleet. The immediate threat has been neutralized. Please move your ships to a safe distance while we secure the area. Jake Morrison's voice came back filled with amazement and disbelief. Ben, is that really you? We thought you were dead. I was dead, in a way, Ben replied. But I got better. We have a lot to discuss, Jake. Humanity just became the dominant military power in the galaxy. 3 hours later, the situation was under control. The Zephyrian fleet remained disabled but intact, their crews alive but helpless. Admiral Morrison had moved the surviving human ships to a safe perimeter. The Reaper floated in the center of it all like a dark guardian angel. Dr. Carter stood on the ship's bridge, looking out at the field of alien vessels. Through the neural link, he could feel the other crew members' thoughts and emotions. They had saved humanity, but at a cost. They were no longer entirely human themselves. What happens now? Captain Nicole Reed asked through the mental connection. Now we figure out how to live with what we've become, Ben replied. And we prepare for what's coming next. What do you mean? Alex asked. Echo's voice filled their shared consciousness, with information that chilled them all. Analysis of galactic communication networks indicates that news of this battle will spread quickly. Other species will want to either ally with humanity or destroy us before we can use this weapon against them. And there's something else, Ben added. The ancient civilization that built this technology was destroyed by entities from outside normal space and time. By using their weapons, we've announced our presence to the same enemies that killed them. Alex felt a chill run through his enhanced consciousness. You mean we've started a war with something even more dangerous than the Zephyrians? I mean, we've joined a war that's been going on for millions of years, Ben replied.